Anyhow, where the hell are we in this damn podcast?
It would be discussion and rumor, my friend.
Oh, hey.
There it is. Yeah. All right, fellas, bring it in. Bring it in. So, discussion this week. We actually got featured. Well, no, we did not get featured.
Headlined. We were a masthead.
We were.
We were an in value,
front,
guys.
The front page. Front page, Fly Casual. The WAPO.
Washington Post and Fly Casual.
What do they have in common?
Well, they reached out
Not
and
much.
they
Not
reached
much,
out
as it
and
turns out.
and they asked if we wanted to take part in. Oh wait, no, none of that ever happened. Oh boy.
So the Washington Post this week posted an article. The title of the article: "Who hates Star Wars for its newfound diversity? Here are the numbers."
Underneath, there should have been a picture of Admiral Akbar saying, "It's a trap."
Now, this was a little interesting.
Numbers.
Yeah.
This was interesting for a couple of reasons, not the least of which the study that was conducted as part of this article included Fly Casual.
What?
Yeah.
That's us.
Yeah, the article mostly looking at Twitter rage.
The tweets.
It was not, let's say, not a huge collection of accounts involved. And we were one of them.
Yeah.
Your sample size is dubious.
Futurama.
So anyway, Cordy and Howie kind of dug into this a little bit and looked at it. And
Eric did too. You're the only lazy ass here.
Okay, sorry. So I mean, I don't. Did one of you guys want to kind of just outline what the basic thesis of the article was?
You know, I wish I could put it into a basic thesis. I don't know that I really can.
Oh, it's got to be able to be in some way,
honestly, that's
on a very basic level.
As we get into our analysis of it, that'll be one of my problems that I take.
Maybe you should give a basic statistics overview of how
we'll get there too.
Statistics works.
Yeah. Let's do intro to statistics.
Let's save that commentary.
Let's get out the what's the statistics program we use in the old black belt
SAS.
Minitab.
Oh, Minitab. Yeah,
out.
That's right. Oh, that was a horrible program.
Oh, I know. What a Minitab is a powerful tool that you hate.
Yeah.
Always.
It was
anyway,
like
if you have any kind of presence or you follow Twitter in any form or fashion, you will have known that since The Last Jedi, at least in my opinion, it seems, there has been a so-called shitstorm.
Divisiveness would have been what I would say.
Divisiveness, shitstorm. Yeah, why not?
It's just
on,
fun to say.
Twitter between people.
It's a fun
that
visualization.
Like The Last Jedi
too.
and people that dislike The Last Jedi.
Yeah. There are a lot of people that dislike The Last Jedi. There are way more people who dislike the people who dislike The Last Jedi. Sorry, it just feels that way sometimes because I hear a lot more about one than the other.
Dislike people who like The Last Jedi too. Just to be fair,
there is some of that.
Yes, there is.
Either way. So
basically what this person did is what? What did they do?
They, God, it's hard to respond to this without immediately throwing my own spin into it. But
let's give the facts first, and then we'll attack the spin.
Well, should I do what the article did and decide my facts, and then have someone try to come up with numbers to justify them?
Corey,
what?
WWJOD. What would Jerry Orbach do?
I'm not that eloquent.
Thank you, Garrick.
Do I have to respond in a French accent?
Yes, you do.
Be my guest.
Je m'appelle Phil.
Nailed it.
So, what they were setting out to do is analyze, all the hatred and vitriol in the community. If you're a believer in there being all that much hatred,
because there has been an overall view, right? That there is just this.
I don't even want to say overall. There has been a view amongst some,
right,
that the vitriol in the community is at its fever pitch, and I think that's arguably accurate.
You can
because there's never been a fever pitch of vitriol in Star Wars fandom. There's never been that much vitriol in Star Wars fandom.
Well, some would argue
debatable
that
People
during
really
the
hated
prequel era, there was a little bit of that.
In the fandom
Well,
or
there's a
just
lot of
in
it.
general?
Both?
Were fans turning on fans? We didn't even have Twitter to paint the targets for us.
A little bit, I would say there was some of that. I mean, because there were people that were prequel defenders and people that really didn't like the prequel.
The whole story comes back to Twitter because everything in this is
Ahmed
about
Best
Twitter.
almost killed himself because of the backlash.
All of this whole article is about on Twitter.
Yes.
So you have to
Keep
put that
in
in
mind,
bold,
please.
italicized letters.
Right.
Are people do people act shitty on Twitter about Star Wars? Specifically highlighting The Last Jedi and toward Kelly Marie Tran.
Yes.
After her now famous temporary, self-banishment.
Real quick
I don't mean to say, I shouldn't say self-banishment, but taking a break.
It has been said that she had received some kind of harassment online.
Well, it's known. It is
Right.
known.
She received some harassment and decided to, and it wasn't even on Twitter, actually. This was Instagram. She closed down her Instagram account.
Not
And
Insta.
because she's like, I'm walking away from this, which,
Right.
and we all said, all right, now everybody's going to make a huge deal of this, cast a lot more light on these trolls than is healthy. But it's okay to point out that people are buttholes and don't be buttholes. But her decision to go, I'm done with this is fine.
Yeah.
She also
felt like that was the right move.
came back and talked about it and said, I will not be marginalized. I'm like, are you so marginalized where you're in a major Hollywood blockbuster film? And I mean, I realize that people of different groups and things or who can be identified as different things get treated different ways by different people. But when we start throwing the word marginalization around, I get a little concerned because you are literally part of an elite. So that's where I start, where I want celebrities to rise above. But she's young. She's having to face all this all at once. There's no reason why she should already be an expert in this.
She was a relative unknown.
Yeah.
To suddenly just thrust into the
She was ready
spotlight.
to quit acting before she got the call to
And
be in the movie.
I really don't take any issue with her. Not really.
I personally don't at all.
I know,
think,
we've said many times,
honestly,
as much as we may not like the character,
right.
ain't her fault. She did everything she could with what was on the page.
Right. Right. And I think I just remember even the earliest reporting that we did on her, she seemed to be the most charming.
Yeah.
And attractive.
She's like hilarious, like recording like people or like listening to people talking about her character in the coffee shop because they didn't know who she is. And she goes and introduces herself. And we're like, she's so fun.
Yeah.
You know? And so,
and I still feel that way about her. She seems like a perfectly pleasant, person.
So what this article wanted to do seemingly was figure out exactly how much hatred, vitriol, sexism, and hate speech.
Yeah, they have 3 points that they're trying to address among the Star Wars fan Twitter,
which is
tweets.
Such a weird thing.
They wanted to look at offensive language and hate speech.
Got lots of that.
That have a modest presence. Abusive posts are not due to bots.
Right.
And
they wanted to weed out bots somehow.
Yeah. And 3, that the posters use more profanity and slurs to talk about women and minorities and to talk to female fans.
So naturally, we're part of the selection.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing that
if you're a listener and don't follow us on Twitter, it's actually kind of funny because our Twitter is far more friendly than even the way we talk on
what's a little unclear, and at first I thought they were using our tweets as the basis.
Yeah.
And as I read more in it, I'm not sure that's true. I think they did searches, keyword searches across, it sounded like now across all of Twitter to these specific accounts.
No, I think what they did, they took 37 quote male only accounts and 37.
We can talk about that in a second because she specifically did some stuff there, but
we were included in that 37.
Yeah, so she went to StarWars.com, got all the podcast accounts from there, and then further got some more accounts from an official from Star Wars, I guess.
And that's how we got in. We're still somehow not been excommunicated from Star Wars.com.
Yes, right. I was going to say the reason we were included is because we are on the Star Wars.
There's only been one that's been excommunicated.
By the way, half our listeners just went, "Are you kidding me?" Right now? How did these a-holes?
Right.
I'm writing a letter to Lucasfilm right now.
That was like the happiest day of my life, everyone.
It was.
Don't take this away from us.
All this statistical analysis has been based on her deciding what's fact.
Yeah, first of all,
the
selection is so.
I know. Let me talk about the selection.
Interesting.
So she selected these Twitter accounts. I mean, okay, you selected it how you selected it, and then broke them out by male and female,
which she describes as having to be. She decided on male and female based on the name and the picture, and the ones that didn't have, then she had to make it was very subjective. And
if they have at least one female podcaster, it's considered a female account.
Oh man.
So
what if I identify? So
by doing that, there's a 37 to 27 split, 37 male, 27 female accounts.
Yep.
And then did the search on, I can't even. You can read the article on exactly what she searched on, but basically things that had to do with Star Wars, the Last Jedi, and Kelly Marie Tran, and the characters' names. Now.
Rose Tycho.
Thank you.
Tico, my friend.
Is it Tico?
Yeah.
So
Rose Tico.
Yeah, basically she took all those, ran them through some
pre-developed algorithms.
Yeah, she didn't do these algorithms.
These were algorithms that were developed by local, universities. Right?
Yeah,
that
one of them's Indiana University.
Cornell
that
looks
like
one of them.
Hey, you're wearing a shirt for that college, Indiana University, there, Mike.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I see Cornell. I don't see IU.
Andy.
Well, Howard said IU, and I believe
it's in there.
It says.
All right.
There's 2 or 3 different programs. One of them was dedicated to determining hate speech. One of them was dedicated to offensive language. Mm-hmm. And that kind of thing. So she didn't give clear what was considered offensive language and what was specifically didn't give anything.
And they specifically said that these aren't her logarithms, right?
Right.
I mean, these are the university. So if you are interested, you would need to actually go to the university.
Yes.
As much detail as she goes into about what was done, the qualifiers were left out, which even that is splitting hairs. I want to take a step.
She may not even have those qualifiers.
Right.
There might be
right. Which again, that's great journalism. I want to take a step back because I think the fatal flaw in this, because as much as we've said, we take this old man approach to this kind of stuff. We're going, that really sucks. People are horrible. And that shouldn't be a surprise. Someone should be briefing everyone who's going to be in a major motion picture and say, guess what? In some fashion, you're going to get exposed to the dregs of society. Sit down with Hayden Christensen. He'll tell you. Okay?
But take a step back.
That's a good point before you go, Corey. That's a good point because this isn't new.
Right, but
this isn't about them.
I know, but
stop making it about them.
But
this is about fans.
As much as we have said that, we've taken that kind of stance many times, said people are horrible, but people are horrible, right? As much as we've said that, if we're looking at the behavior that would drive Kelly Marie Tran off Twitter or something, anything like, or off Instagram, and we're using Twitter to do so because we just decided that Twitter is the medium that everything must be based upon. The fact that we go specifically to the fan accounts, like for podcasts and things like that, seems like total folly to me because those are the ones that have something at stake. You should be going to the people who are saying horrible things because they have absolutely no threat of repercussion.
They're not
such a weird narrative.
Listen to me.
I know.
They're looking at tweets. Looking at a bunch of tweets.
Yeah.
Tweets from fans to the podcasts. These are all the tweets.
People tweeted us.
That's what I'm getting from this. It's not what we say.
It's not necessarily what the podcast would say. They wanted to get into.
Well, it does
they wanted
include
to get into
those,
tweets. This really isn't from Star Wars fan to Star Wars fan. They wanted to find a way to get in and actually look at discussions. So the best way to do that was to find podcasts like ours,
and
where people are actually talking about these things.
They wanted to find entities that are not getting paid by Star Wars.
Right. Okay.
That makes a little more sense if that's accurate.
And again, I'm trying to read through this and I'm trying to digest it myself. So I don't know if I have it completely accurate.
How does it fully? I mean, the parameters are blowing my friggin' mind.
They're very vague.
Even if they weren't vague, even if they're laser fine, they don't seem right. It doesn't seem like an accurate sample set.
But yeah, I think we need to go a little bit further in what this is actually
like
they're saying, because we're not really letting people know what they're saying.
We should tell them what their results were.
So what they kind of came up with was, hold on. Okay, so they did keyword searches of Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Rose was it Tico?
Rose
Tycho,
Tico, yeah.
Tico, and Kelly Marie Tran. They grouped those two together, and then they broke it out by men and women, fan podcasters. So if you just look at the searches overall, offensive language was 5.8%.
Woo!
When they're talking about Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
Okay.
And 1.1% of hate speech.
Okay.
Sucks, but yep.
Okay.
And if you look at only negative tweets, so they have another algorithm that she used to find define negative tweets, and it was offensive language was 6.9% of the negative tweets. So of course it goes.
And this again, toward the movie. Just the movie.
This is on the keyword searches of Star Wars / The Last Jedi.
Okay.
And then if you move over to specifically Rose Tico, Kelly Marie Tran search group together,
right?
The offensive language was 12.1%.
Whoa.
And hate speech was 1.8%. And then they talk about negative tweets and stuff. Like you can read this yourselves. I don't go through all this, but that's what they're looking at. Now, hold on. Last section.
Okay.
Where they're talking about the men and women podcasters.
Okay.
What's the margin of error?
To the men podcasters, offensive language 7.7%, and women 8.5%.
Dang.
Wait a minute. Wait. Say that again.
Tweets sent to fan podcasters.
Okay.
Men like us.
Mm-hmm. Right.
7.7% of the tweets had offensive language in them.
Yeah.
Okay.
And 0.22% was hate speech.
Okay.
So that's kind of a little too low to even throw out there. But to women, 8.5% offensive language, 0.35% hate speech.
Weird.
0.35.
What?
So it's not just the dudes gathering in the dark. I guess.
Well, and the problem the problem I have with a little bit of this is if your podcast had a woman on it, it was considered a female.
Right.
A female account. Even though it could be completely run by a dude on
and you could have one person that's the podcaster, you can have 4, you can have
the confidence
10.
interval of this?
So I don't know how that factors into
What's that, Gary?
It's a confidence interval of this.
Seriously. What's the margin of error on
5?
Well, and she kind of addresses that and says there's really no good way to come up with this.
There isn't.
And that's where I'm going. You shouldn't be publishing this if you can't back it up. I don't know. Maybe I'm over.
Okay. Well, here's what you guys are numbers guys. So I think you guys have a better grasp of this than I do. But, from the outside looking in, this really, and I don't know because I haven't really read through the whole article. So I don't know what the thesis is.
I didn't even read the article. I just went to the supporting document. That's all, because I don't care about what the article says. I care about what she did.
Right. Okay. So
that sounded harsh, but
no. But
I didn't mean it that.
My takeaway from this is that maybe there was some negativity in things, but relatively speaking,
that's a big flaw. There's no way to gauge this against anything else because she doesn't provide anything
all
else.
All I can do is judge based what's unpresented, and based on what is presented, all of this seems like a pretty small percentage to me.
Yeah,
my takeaway from this,
if this is all 100% accurate,
right,
it still seems.
If it is, let's just assume that just for a moment, for the sake of argument, let's assume all of this is accurate. These results tell me that fandom is in pretty good shape.
Now she does go in to say, because she did scrub out a lot of tweets that she felt were false positives and stuff like that.
Sure.
She says that she believes, of course, you take this for what it's worth, that it's actually a slightly lower number than what it probably is what she says.
It's a hypothesis.
Because she said she was a little more strict about scrubbing stuff out.
That in this type of analysis,
but maybe we're talking about 7.7. Maybe it's like 8%.
Even if you add a little bit in, I would. I mean, if still, if we're talking 6% negative and 94%, everybody's just in the fandom
if we're under 20-15%, I think.
Now let me.
I don't know.
This is what I would have expected. Honestly,
hate speech and abuse and abusive language, right? I'm not
offensive language.
Offensive language. It's not okay for there to be any of it. But life is not.
First of all,
life is life.
If life is 80% okay, some people take that as a win.
We don't know what offensive language specifically, like what the algorithm is, and we don't know what the hate speech is.
Let me point you to some of the things that the article draws. One of the things that, you were just talking about how there's a higher percentage of people responding to or tweeting at female quote unquote fan accounts, meaning however female, but basically more than 0% female. That they receive slightly more of the abusive, offensive language and the hate speech, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the article says the female.
Well, okay, wait. Tweets around them.
Yes.
Not saying that.
I said to them or involving them.
Yeah.
So the article says that female. It's right. It's headlined over that section. Female fans are harassed more.
Exactly. Right. I mean, it's making this.
They're saying
there's a margin of error, and they're not.
They're saying that the existence of language in a tweet that tags one of these fan sites that is more than zero, or one of these fan Twitter accounts that is more than 0% female is harassment toward that account. Is harassment toward a female.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
What the effing hell? That is an absolutely wrong, faulty assumption.
Yeah, first of all, we have to take a step back. And
that is manipulative.
We're dealing with Twitter. We're not dealing with
right.
We're not dealing with people.
Right.
People.
I mean, right, and that's a good point to make here because
I hate to say it,
in my opinion, Twitter. And if you're a thinking rational, reasonable person, Twitter does not reflect real life in any way, shape, manner, or form.
Yeah, and people say a lot of stupid things on the internet,
of course,
that they would not say.
Yep,
because they're what draw your own conclusions.
And
but
that's not an excuse, but it's a reality.
And I think that's a fair thing to kind of point out is we obviously think hate speech, however you want to define it, or being offensive to other people, that's just not okay.
But again, my takeaway from this, I still feel like because I still consider Twitter the anus of the internet.
Exactly.
I mean, it is just.
And if you're in the anus of the internet and you're only 8%,
yes.
I mean,
to me, that's a win. I feel like fandom is doing just fine.
Wait.
Despite all the negative press and all the negative.
Twitter's the anus. What is 4chan? I need this.
we don't really want to go there.
Is that when you literally get ripped a new anus? Or is that Twitter rectum? Without the O-ring? Yeah.
It's the dark Twitter.
The dark Twitter. Some of the conclusions made, like, again, you can question a lot of how tight or loose some of the decisions were in the statistical analysis. And I'm glad that they actually published what they did, and they did it with a lot of detail. Obviously, someone who is a numbers person, I'm looking at this going, oh God, this is not enough detail. I mean, but they gave me enough for me to know that, which is better than you usually get. And that's good.
Yeah, go ahead.
But when you go to the article and you read the conclusions or I would say allusions being drawn from some of these, it is clear to me, and this is where I'm gonna skirt the line.
The biggest problem.
This is where I'm gonna skirt the line. They wanted to make this article, so they sent someone out to prove it.
Right.
Rather than having a proof of something and making an article.
An associate political science professor.
Right. But one of the things that they do say, one of the things that I've seen said about this is that, overall, the Star Wars fan community doesn't want to acknowledge any of this. And it's not because they want to hide it. It's because we want it to die and go away.
We don't want to acknowledge it because we don't want to
give it the wind it wants.
Yeah.
Gizmodo had an article up about this article because, that's good for now. Saying that it doesn't go far enough. And usually if it comes from Gizmodo or anything that was formerly part of Gawker Media, the political motivation on that is going to be they're not hitting hard enough. And in this case, they're right because it's so limited. Mm-hmm. It is so limited. Like, I feel the same way. I'm not even feeling defensive about this because it's such a weird way that we were even included, but because I don't understand the selection. I do not understand how they devised it. This is a way to figure out what's actually going on. But at the same time, they have to limit it somehow. Right.
I feel like you can.
But you're not looking at the worst of it. You're not seeing the worst of it if you're only looking at people interacting in this circle, because fandom goes way bigger than this circle. And that's where the worst of it comes from.
Well, they are looking at the search is for Star Wars, The Last Jedi. They are searching all tweets that have that.
Have they looked at all of the direct tags of Kelly Marie Tran and everybody that said anything to her?
Yeah, that's where I think this is interesting, because if they're doing it the same way, at least you can have comparisons within itself.
Yeah.
And with her, it was of offensive language. Remember, the males podcasters was 7.7, females was 8.5. Kelly Marie Tran was 12.1.
Here's the problem I have with the Kelly Marie Tran.
So it's a significant jump there.
Yes, there is. But the problem I have with the Kelly Marie and Rose Tico arc of this is that
they grouped them together. One,
right? Because we're talking two different things, right? We're talking hate speech.
Yeah, they should not have.
And we're talking negative comments, because to me, there's a lot of people that dislike The Last Jedi. I'm one of them. And
what?
I would speak negatively about the character of Rose Tico,
which would not show up as offensive or hate,
right?
According to what she says,
because I would never say anything.
It would show up as negative.
Anything that would show up as hate speech regarding Kelly Marie Tran, even though I didn't like the character of Rose Tico. I think Kelly Marie Tran is a fantastic person.
Now, specifically talking about negative tweets, because that's a third category. You have negative tweets, offensive, and hate.
Right.
So when searching Star Wars The Last Jedi, negative tweets as a share of all tweets, 73%.
Yeah, that one struck me.
What? Say that again? I need to digest
yes, the keyword search of Star Wars or The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
They have negative tweets as a share of all tweets as 73%.
Now,
wow.
Now I want to point something out. You're saying like tweets to male fan accounts, tweets to female fan accounts, tweets to Kelly Marie Tran. That's not what you're looking at the data. That's not what the article says.
Tweets involving those accounts. Make that distinction.
In the article, it says tweets about Kelly Marie Tran, which is a very... that you get real murky right there, because there's a difference.
Tweets involving her accounts.
And that's what I'm saying. There's a difference between the character and the actor.
Well, no, I'm saying that in that I'm interpreting tweets about her directed at or tagging a fan account.
Okay, yeah. Okay, let's make this clear. Okay. From what I understand, from what I'm reading, is it's tweets with the keyword search of Rose Tico or Kelly Marie Tran. Man, that's hard for me to say.
KMT, bro.
Yeah, KMT. So those are the keyword searches involving her Twitter account. Okay. So at whatever handle, I don't know what it is. So that's how they did the study. So it has to involve her account, and those are the keyword searches of character's name and her name.
Okay. Gotcha.
And they ran that through those algorithms.
Part of the problem with that too
why are people bitching at us? Nobody's bitching at us. That's the funny thing. But why would the assumption be that people are bitching at the fan accounts? Like, what is that?
I think she's trying to show that first of all, they're trying to prove an assumption. So that's a fault in your study. You should just go and find
the data says what the data
find the
says.
truth, not prove an assumption.
Yeah.
So she's trying to prove the assumption that Star Wars fans
are sexist.
They tweet
but
to
even
female,
even then I think her results, whatever she said in her conclusion, is still it's a relatively low.
Well, and another thing too
percentage.
is those like Amy Ratcliffe, her account specifically was added into this as well.
Yeah.
Whereas it's our account for our podcast, not our own personal accounts.
Right.
Oh, thank goodness.
We're not even comparing necessarily apples to apples.
I know this is hard. I mean, I honestly, I got to give her props for trying.
And I know
there was a significant amount of thought that went into it. I don't agree with a lot of it.
I was going to say,
I think it's very clear that this person's probably pretty smart, but they're not a statistical person. They're a professor of political science.
And it also sounds to me like they're having trouble. They're approaching a political issue, but they aren't really maybe as familiar with how to break down the social aspects of how a fandom operates.
Well,
that's where I really see it.
She should have involved, someone who knew statistics and someone who knew social implications involved with this, but it was just her, and it's unclear if the Washington Post wanted her to do this,
go do this,
or if she was like, I want to get published on the Washington Post,
or if someone just legitimately was like, I think this is a thing and I want to figure it out.
Right. And I think that was probably the case.
I want to read her last paragraph in this article because I still feel like she's being somewhat fair. Okay, this is what it says. The last paragraph: a divided culture. Most people who tweet about Star Wars are congenial and skeptical about trolls. But as with other cultural icons, whether it's an all-female Ghostbusters or NFL players kneeling during the national anthem, a significant few respond with anger and hate when gender and race expectations change. We know that from the numbers.
That's what threw the curveball from me. This whole time when I was looking through this, I'm like, boy, you really seem like you're trying to find needles in the haystack. Boy, it seems like you're really trying to point out. But then the very end of it, and that's why I said, when you said at the beginning, what's the thesis? I'm like, I don't know that I can come to this, because at the end it's saying it's there.
I almost think there's a conflict. She's having a conflict with the Washington Post. The Washington Post wants to title things a certain way to get clicks. And she's like, no, I want my integrity.
Look, this has been a big story. That's kind of how I feel. This has been a big story for most of this year since The Last Jedi has come out. There's a lot of bickering and everything else. And so they sent her on this assignment, or she took it on, however that happened. And I feel like she's being as fair as she can be in this last paragraph.
It's so weird.
Again, you've got to get all the way to the end. I think most people are, let's face it, we live in a culture where most people read the headline, not the article, and
assume they know everything about it. Yeah.
Right. So I think most people are going to walk away from this thinking that,
But again, we're the idiots who say, suck it up. It's the internet. People aren't nice. There's evil in the world. You got to put on the big kid pants, right? We're the ones who say that.
Or don't get involved, one or the other.
Yeah, but we're looking at this going, well, I don't see how this would even go out to show how bad it actually is. And then at the end it says, the numbers say it's not that bad. And I'm like, I don't know what to do on this side of the argument. I'm not comfortable over here. I'm used to saying it's not that bad, but there the article says it's not that bad. I'm like, but it's worse than you're saying.
I think it's somewhat, I don't say it's proving, but it's giving a little bit more validity to the fact there's a small few that are making a big stink and getting all the attention. And they're making it look worse than
my experience. I followed the Twitter wars fairly closely. You know, I don't include it.
You are involved more than
on my personal account. I involve myself on
you don't sully our account.
Yes, I do not, because I don't want to. We don't want to be that way.
Yeah.
So, but I kind of follow.
No one of us speaks for all of us, except for me.
I'm just saying my own personal experience. This article seems to verify what I've seen.
Yeah.
What I see is, seriously, there's probably 4 or 5 like accounts that are really into this culture thing, like on both sides. And they are just
4 or 5 significant follower.
Yeah, that have significant followers and whatnot, and they go at each other constantly. But for the mass majority of podcasts like us and the mass majority of the rest of them, we're just into the, hey, man, you know, this is a new thing coming. Hey, you know, here's the new movie and here's the rumors. You know, we're not digging into this, you know, the culture war thing. And to me, again, that's a positive. Yeah. Well, no, I mean, we cover it when it's newsworthy like this, but I'm
personally newsworthy.
They brought us into this one.
Yeah,
they dragged us in.
Exactly.
But no, I'm personally very encouraged by this because I feel like, yeah, there's people out there spewing that hate, but you're right. I mean, there's never going to be 100% of people that are just perfectly dandy.
I am the weirdest kind of mad about this. Because it affirms exactly what I say, but I don't believe it affirmed it well enough.
Well,
you better.
I get it in the right way.
I get your concerns about the validity
said,
of
we're
the
numbers
data.
guys.
Yes, right. I get that.
Yeah.
You know, there's probably a better way to do this, but I don't know. I got to give her props for trying.
Well, okay, and let's take a step back. One of you guys told me what the percentage of people that are on Twitter versus, you know, Americans.
Yeah. Or the world.
Yeah. What do you guys remember what you guys told me? Because I don't remember.
No, I can make something up right now.
I remember though that it was significantly. It was a small percentage.
It is. It's not. There's a lot more.
Maybe like 5 or 10% at best.
Yeah. There's a lot more accounts than there are actual people on Twitter. And I'm not talking about bots. I'm talking about I have 5 different accounts, for God's sake.
Yeah.
And I don't use any of them to troll anyone.
Let's be clear. It's actually ridiculous. Like when you turn on the nightly news and they're quoting people on Twitter.
Oh, it's so.
That is ridiculous because Twitter does not represent the world.
A fraction.
Jack Dorsey, I would totally love to hang out with you and have dinner one night. I have nothing against you at all.
This isn't a Dorsey thing. This is the media thing.
I know. It's the Frankenstein monster. You didn't predict what would actually happen. You tried to do something for a certain reason.
Yeah.
And over the course of time, it's been perverted. You know,
look, I'm a free speech guy, so I'm like all about people just going and just, you know, spewing their whatever wherever they want. Right. That's fine with me.
Say whatever you want.
They're not being liable or.
Well, yeah, right. Within the confines of the law. But what I don't like is media and whatnot and people trying to represent Twitter or whatever.
Use Twitter as a representation of the populace.
Exactly, because it's just not.
It is not.
Really not.
It's nowhere even close.
So that's the other thing. So not only that,
there's 336 million active users on Twitter, and that is not filtering out bots or spiders or groups or whatever.
And that's worldwide.
That's worldwide.
And active accounts.
Active accounts out of 7.4 billion people in the world.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So let's say every one of those is a person. It's not. It's still a teeny, tiny.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that being said, I appreciate that this was done. Like anytime I dig into the guts of the statistical analyses that are done on these types of social things,
been done
my
better.
teeth, I don't know. I don't know if there's anybody who can do it better, who's willing to do it.
Sure. Right.
For these types of subjects.
I think because
it's too squishy for a valid statistician to go, Yeah, I'll get into that.
Yeah.
Star Wars, what?
A valid statistician. It doesn't. Star Wars, nothing. These social issues, and Twitter and
Yeah,
using
you're right.
using store bought algorithms, and I'm in quotes, but I mean off the shelf algorithms to discover. Like a valid statistician will just go, no. I like my career. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I don't know that it will or could be.
The only
done
thing
better,
that
really.
I find interesting that I think has some validity is comparing itself within itself, and comparing the Star Wars searches to Kelly Marie Tran versus male and female podcasters. Comparing that within itself, the numbers mean nothing. 7.7, 8.5, that means nothing. But against each other, 7.7 to 8.5 is something, and 12.1. I mean, so that
I'll point out the first thing Garrick said after looking into the data himself when he texted us. He goes, "Am I getting this right? Or are they using number of tweets as an end value?"
right.
Which is another thing on this. I'm like, like one person could go on 100 tweet tirade. And before we recorded, I'm like, let's reduce it like this. Well, I decided to use a selection of 2 accounts, and 50 of the tweets were from one account were hate speech. 50 of the tweets from the other account had no hate speech. So 50% of both accounts were hate speech. That's similar. You see what I'm saying? Like you're automatically saying, well, we got a problem because 50% of the tweets from these two. Now, obviously, I'm grossly simplifying and exaggerating numbers per point, but that's the fault. That's the flaw in the logic. Number of tweets is not. That is statistically invalid in the nature of itself. Unless you're literally only wanting to capture that. And I'm not saying that the author here is even saying more than that. Well, they do in a couple places.
Well, I got to admit,
they lean into a little more implication than that.
Sure. I got to admit, going into this, I felt like, there's going to be, it's going to be, they have the ends, and now they need to justify it.
Yeah, it's what it reeks of. But then at the end,
right.
It
but again,
gut checks itself.
I know. But again, it's classic. I don't know. It's a classic article in the sense that, if they want to be honest, they have to give the correct conclusion. So, do that at the end.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's what the intent was for the article, but if you read it and you digest it, I mean, basically what she's saying is that it's a relatively small amount of people that are engaging in the hate, and
everyone else. And everyone else
It's not
is
a
against.
relatively small amount of people. It's a relatively small amount of tweets.
Yeah, they're even
there you
more
go.
so.
Yep, perfect. Yep.
Yeah, I don't see anywhere in the article where she actually specifically
Yeah, no, they were
defines
careful about that.
what are we talking about tweets? Are we grouping anything? So it seems to me that they're specifically the number of tweets.
Right. And so what can you take from that? The answer that I think we're all kind of in agreement on is be careful to take much more than the face value. So the face value is only worth what it is. And that's why I'm glad that last paragraph is on there.
Yeah.
And says that, we can say that it seems to happen a little more to this stuff that we drew all these other conclusions about. And it happens a little less to this groups that we drew all these conclusions about and all these assumptions that we made and all these leaps of logic that we made. But no matter what, it's a small number that the community outright rejects.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? That's the nature of a community.
Yes.
The nature of a community is that people come together with their disagreements and learn to get along. And the people who can't operate within that, when their disagreements or their differences or oppositions define them or define how they're end up conducting their behavior based on that definition, don't belong in the community. They're not part of the community. They can run around, they can drive on our streets, they can shop in our stores, but they are not part of the community.
That's what we call outliers.
Thank you.
In statistics, she found that most of them are outliers.
And
that's
just
that's
to
how
wrap this whole thing
statistics
up,
kind of
guys.
works. You got your outliers and you got your main population.
Right.
It's a bell curve.
This is the best part of this whole thing. To wrap this whole thing up, the program that she used to find out if a tweet was negative or positive, which it rated it from a -1 to a +1 on, a decimal within there, whether it's negative or positive. But the name of the program is called Vader.
Nice.
Word.
Oh, I'd like to buy the world a Coke. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for following so long on this very self-indulgent, and far too meta episode
happy
of
we're
Flycast.
mentioning
That's a little more serious than we like to get, but
Well, we've skirted around this issue for a long time, and we do always say, guys, it's not as bad as some people want you to believe, and it's not as good as some people want you to believe.
Correct.
It just is.
yes.
And is that okay? No, because when somebody gets harassed and they feel harassed,
Yes.
something needs to happen so that person can be made to feel better. Right? Kelly Marie Tran can drop off Instagram and she can have people come out in full support of her, which guess what? Way more people come out and support in reaction than ever try to do that damage. But she's got to do what she's got to do to get through it, and applaud her for that.
Even
if
the
she
people,
comes out antagonizing and swinging like some other people, Chuck one did, then we're gonna, then it's a little more of a gray area. But that's the thing, though, the haters are a different type. There are people who criticize, there are people who dislike, there are people who would have liked things to be different.
Provocateurs, man.
Provocateurs, but the haters are a different animal. So I think if we can all just come and get along on all that, hey, go to a freaking convention. Are you getting in fist fights at a convention? Are you going to fan conventions and going, all right, which one of these people here are actually hateful of Kelly Marie Tran? I'm going to find them. Or which one of these people doesn't think that enough people are supporting, or, they don't realize how hateful everyone. No, you're there because everybody's there to celebrate the same thing. That's where fandom is. That's where the community is.
The fandom is doing just fine.
I almost punched somebody
really
in the Funko line when they told me I needed a ticket.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But see, then a dude, when you wanted to get into the con line, the con store, they're like, oh yeah, no, you need to get a ticket to get a reservation again. And we were sitting there like, what is this bullcrap? And then like out of magical thin air, dude pops up and he goes, here, you can have my ticket, little boy.
What's up?
And gives Garrick a ticket for like 30 minutes for them. And Garrick goes, oh, thanks. And then didn't use it. So
that's besides the point. You didn't have to mention that part.
But the dude saw the look of disappointment on Garrick's childlike face.
Had an extra ticket.
And he just stopped and said, you can have my ticket. And then he gave him his jersey and they both drank Coke together.
Aww.
It was
his name?
Gorgeous.
Mean Joe Green.
That's right.
Mean Joe.
Mean Joe just showed up right there in Orlando to try to save the day. Speaking of saving the day, why don't you run out to iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, I don't know, wherever the crap you're getting this stuff, and give us a nice 5-star rating on
YouTube.
And the YouTube.
Check out the YouTubes, baby.
Give us a subscribe and give us a thumb up the butt. Whatever you do.
I want 35 subscribers by next time.
I want an up thumb.
And I only want 6% harassment.
That's right. That's our target.
Not 7, not 5.
No.
Get that sweet 6%.
If we want to get that 7.7%, we're going to have a lady on the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the thing.
I don't think
that's 8.5.
We don't know any ladies that want to be around us when we talk about this.
I don't think Amy's on a podcast anymore.
Oh, really? Is she between podcasts?
She's between podcasts.
She's too smart to come back down to our level.
She's probably heard
Anyhow, but yeah, run out, give us nice little reviews so we can reach more listeners just like you. And follow us on Twitter at FlyCasual1138, where you can take part in the Circus of Vitriol. That, frankly, does not happen.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. Our Twitter account.
It's far more positive than you think, people.
And it's not a bunch of butt padding either. It's not a bunch of artificial crap. It's just people having honest discussion. We love
and having fun, baby, and having fun.
That's right. Go to Twitter. That's what Jack Dorsey wanted for you. He wanted you to have fun.
Right.
So I'm
going to our Twitter accounts like drinking Jaeger bombs.
Oh no.
Oh wait, that's wrong.
No, maybe a little.
I've had way too many Jaeger bombs tonight.
Oh, geez. Oh, no.
I see 7 cans of Red Bull.
Or 1.5.
And here I am struggling to finish my iced tea. In the meantime, also, but yeah, YouTube. What's the YouTube name there?
Just search for Fly Casual Podcast.
Fly Casual Podcast on the YouTube where you can listen there. And apparently Mike's doing some pulling out some of our, for whatever reason, little snippets.
We're putting up the EPs now, so If that's your platform,
You can watch Mike frantically try to get the right view comic up.
To me, I think that's the best part of the YouTube.
We'll be watching Mike trying to keep up.
Watching Mike click frantically.
we've already had comments that that's the best part is me trying to keep up with the podcast.
Oh, that's already happening?
It is already happening.
I am so behind. This is the best. Now, I can't wait now. I feel like I've got my all my entertainment just cut out for the next couple of weeks. I'm assuming when we actually get to news and Mike hits the, well, boys, I'm assuming the mouse just dies in the middle of the screen and doesn't move for 34 minutes.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And you yourself can see by going to looking for the Fly Casual podcast on the YouTube. So, but thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for coming along with us on that ride. We know it was a little different tonight, but you know what? Time to set the record straight.
Yeah, man.
Time to be frank. So let's put some of this crap behind us and go on to being diehard fans of a little thing called Star Wars. I'm Corey. Over there's Mike. Over there's Howie.
Ding.
And Garrett.
Rest in peace, Jerry Orbach. Rest in peace.
That's right.
Oh, man.
My Disney prince.
Try the gray stuff. It's delicious. Like jelly.
Always did.
Gray jelly.